Hello again. Welcome again to Crisis in the Philippines. You all know what the channel is about. This is part two to the video that I did last week, primarily about these foreigners who are coming to the Philippines and getting scammed. And I also just wanted to mention that there's so many things going on, and maybe some of you guys want to comment below and give me some opinions on some of these things. I don't know how many of you are familiar with a lot of them. There's this three-eye atlas comet slash alien spaceship that apparently has been coming through the solar system. I've been following it on YouTube. I've been following this Harvard professor called Avi Loeb. I don't know how many of you guys know about him or have heard about him. I was thinking about talking about that a little bit, but I don't know if you guys want to hear about it. You can always shoot me some comments and I can do a narrative on it. Also, this Ukraine Russia war, I remember talking about that a little bit a few years ago. Now it's like 4 years ongoing, never seems to be ending. I know Donald Trump said that as soon as he comes into power, he would actually stop it, but a year in and it's still ongoing. And in fact, now we're seeing there's a potential war in the Caribbean between the US and Venezuela. And we all probably know what that's about, with Venezuela holding so much oil reserves and the US economy pretty much heading down the toilet with 37 trillion in debt. But you guys can shoot me some comments on those three topics there if you want me to talk about it a little bit. But I know this channel is not really about that. And as I said, this is part two to the scamming that's going on in the Philippines in a big way. Foreigners losing their money, losing their dignity, and losing everything. A lot of people may be thinking that I'm just here bashing people and talking and looking for clicks. But what I'm actually trying to do is warn foreigners to be very, very careful. I'm not saying don't come to the Philippines to look for a girl to marry, but you have to take your time. You have to come here, spend a few years, get to know her, get to know the country, get to know the customs, get to know everything about the place. There's a lot of things in the Philippines that are way different than Australia, UK, France, Germany, Canada, the US. You're going to find that it's a very, very different place to live in. The culture is different, the customs are different, things that you have to deal with here, haphazard driving with traffic, constant brownouts, poor internet, all these kinds of things you have to deal with. If you marry a Filipina, you pretty much are marrying her family. So there are a lot of negatives. You're going to have to support her 100%. You come from a country where the women are pretty much independent and they can buy anything they want. So they don't want money from you. The girls here, pretty much that's all they want, money. And if you come here and spend a little bit of time, you're going to find that when you go to the hotels, to the stores, to the clubs, to any place where there are Filipina employed or anybody employed, you're going to see that the average salary is maybe a few $100s a month. So it's a pittance when you think about the cost of living here, and a house being in the millions, a car being in the millions, and people barely making a couple thousand pesos per month. So these girls here have a motivation to find a foreigner, and 99.9% of them are only looking for an ATM, and they will feed you as much information as you want to hear that'll pump your ego, and you get fooled because this young girl is here giving you, showering you all this so-called love. but behind your back she's ridiculing you. And I cannot really blame the foreigners so much, because I mean, which guy wouldn't want to have this young, beautiful girl as their lover, as their wife? It's a fantasy for every man, pretty much. And I mentioned in my last video about some YouTube videos that I was watching, and there's a channel called Social Catfish, and they pretty much deal with a lot of mostly in the USA, men and women, and these are usually older men, 55, 60, 70, older women, 55, 60, 70, who are recently divorced and are lonely and seeking a relationship, and find online dating with girls or with guys. The old woman will find a very handsome hunk of a guy who tells her she is his queen and he loves her so much and what have you. The old 75-year-old guy will find this gorgeous girl who tells him all kinds of stories why she loves him and what have you. And if you look at these videos, you're going to find that in the end they get scammed for hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of US dollars. And who they're talking to is not even the person in the picture. Most of the time it's a guy in Nigeria or Ghana or somewhere in Africa that is just pretty much scamming them of their money. And in the Philippines, you find that it's exactly the same thing happening, except the girls will actually talk to the guys in the foreign country. They'll video chat with you and they'll tell you all kinds of things, and they'll talk for a week or two. And if you look at Social Catfish, you will see that the modus operandi is pretty much the same. That with Social Catfish, the person, the Nigerian, is talking to the person in the USA for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, and then will hit them with a request for a small amount of money. Well, it's exactly the same thing with the Filipina. She's going to be talking to the guy and making him fall in love with her, and then all of a sudden her phone is broken or she doesn't have load and she needs 500 pesos. And the guy says, oh, well, what's 10 US? I'll send 10 US. And then he sends her 10 US for load. And then she says, oh, thank you, honey, and I love you so much. I can't wait to meet you and marry you and be your wife and all that bullshit. And then the next thing you know, a few days after, her phone is broken, so she needs a new phone. So he sends money for a phone. And then all of a sudden she needs money for a motorcycle. He sends money for a motorcycle. Then she pumps his brain full of more bullshit, says, let's build a house for us to live together. So he sends money to buy a lot. He sends money to build a house. He sends money to furnish a house. And if you look on Rafi Tulfo, you're going to see typical examples of this. There's so many of these foreigners who have given millions to these Filipina, only to find out that she has a young boy that is pumping her and she's pretty much taking care of him. He's living off of her, and they're having a ball while the foreigner is living in a fantasy world. Sometimes the foreigner even comes to the Philippines and is living with the Filipina, but he doesn't even know who she's texting, who she's calling, where she's going. Sometimes they're going all over the place, and her cousin, in quotation marks, is always accompanying them. And sometimes she's going to spend the night at the cousin's house, or the cousin is at their house when the foreigner is away. And these guys are so dumb and so stupid, they cannot realize that that's the boyfriend that's banging her and the foreigner is paying the bill. So pretty much most of these foreigners, it's very hard to get through to them, because again, they think they've hit the lottery, they think they're a rock star, and they don't realize that they're just been taken a ride for. And the purpose of my videos is hopefully to get these foreigners to open their eyes and see what is really the truth. And when I say what is really the truth, you know, you talk to a girl on a dating site or wherever, don't send her any money. Make arrangements, talk to her, tell her you'll come and meet her, and then make arrangements and come and meet her. 99.9% of the time she's going to disappear. She'll never meet you. If you do end up meeting somebody here, again, spend some time, get to know them. Don't just get bamboozled the first time you meet her and she goes to the hotel and fucks your brains out, and then your brain, your head turns to mush, and all of a sudden you cannot see reality. You think that this girl is all in love with you. And I talked about this guy with this video, and the girl who's on TikTok all the time, the clown with a bunch of tattoos and crosses on his face, you know, who probably in his country, a girl there wouldn't even take a shit and give it to him free. You know, he comes here and he gets this beautiful girl and he feels he's Brad Pitt, and he's probably Brad shit. But he's going to be taken for a very rude awakening. And a lot of the old washed up decrepit foreigners who are commenting on the TikTok and the videos that they upload tells him he's so lucky and they're so happy for him. But if you notice, it's those old washed up foreigners who are hoping for the same, or a lot of the Filipina who are pumping his ego because they're also hoping for the same in the sense of getting a foreigner who they can bamboozle and take all his money. So foreigners really need to open their eyes. Again, I'm saying that the government needs to do something about this, have probably some sort of seminar, some sort of forum, that when these foreigners meet a girl, they can actually go and talk to people, have some professionals who advise them on what's reality and what's not. And you have to realize that when you come to the Philippines, if you buy a property here, it's not yours, it belongs to the girl. And on top of that, anything you do in the Philippines, you have to be very careful, because everything, all the laws here are geared towards the Philippines. So you can very easily be left broke and destitute, as so many hundreds of these foreigners have been over the years. And most recently, many of them are like that. They don't even have money to go back to their country, far less to even rent a good place to live. They can't buy medication or anything. So you foreigners have to be very careful. And the viewers who are watching this, you need to share this video. If you have a friend or you know someone who's chatting with a Filipina, don't try to discourage him, but try to let him look at every avenue and ask himself the most important question. If you are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, what does a girl that is even 10, 20, 30, 40 years younger than you want with you? You have to try to implore onto them that if it was that easy getting a girl, they would get a girl that age in their country. And if they want to know the truth of the matter, and a guy is 50, just go to a 25-year-old girl in your country and ask her, and you will see what they're looking for. They're gold diggers. Who do the 20, 25-year-old, 30-year-old girls go for in those first world countries? They go for the billionaires. They go for the Jeff Bezos. They go for the Elon Musks and those kind of people. They're looking for money. They're gold diggers, and they go after them because they want money. They're not going to come after you because you're so handsome or age is just a number. When you come to the Philippines, you become the Jeff Bezos, you become the Elon Musk, you become the Bill Gates, you're the rock star. The girl does not want you for anything other than money. And as soon as your money runs out, she's going to kick your ass straight to the curb, and you're going to be sleeping on the sidewalk. So you need to open your eyes. You need to see reality. And the purpose of these videos is hopefully to save some of these foreigners, not only from becoming broke and destitute, but the heartbreak that follows it. Because most of these foreigners, I'm 100% certain, are very genuine. They do love the girls with all of their heart. They're willing to do everything and give everything to the girl. And the problem is that the girl is just using them. So they need to see that. And people who are watching these videos need to try to implore the other foreigners that you have to look out for your best interests. If you meet a girl that's really interested in you, Do not let money be the crux of the relationship. And in the Philippines, that's what it is. So as I said, this is the part 2 to the video last week, and hopefully it brings some insight to you guys, and it'll help at least one foreigner avoid the heartache and losing all his money and everything. Thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope I can start putting up a few more videos now that I'm back in the Philippines. When I'm in the US, I really don't have the time because I have so many things going on. But in the Philippines, it's a lot more laid back. I have some time to sit in the hotel and make these videos, edit it, and put it up and so on. And again, as I said, if you guys want me to talk a little bit about the ongoing war in Ukraine, Russia, the potential war in Venezuela, or the 3i Atlas, just let me know. I'll do a little narrative on it. Thanks again for watching, and everybody have a great day.